Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Flux XF binding. It's gotten a lot of overhauls since the last time I've ridden anything from Flux, and I'm pretty sure I've ridden the XF before. So let's get right into it. I rode these bindings at Copper Mountain on a day that was mostly bluebird, you had a little bit of dust on crust, fast groomers, midday push piles, even found some leftover pow where I could, and I used my Ride Shadowband snowboard and my K2 Thraxis boots. So on the straps, you do have these flip twist tabs so you can lengthen or shorten the toe and the heel. The toe is also on a push pin system. And then what you're gonna notice is on the side of this chassis, you also have a twist tab. You can actually lower or raise depending on where you want to have it, the heel strap. So if you got instep issues, that's something else to consider. Now, when it comes to the high back, you actually have 5 placements on each side under this twist tab. So you can actually rotate it aggressively or set it back or a little more forward if you want to. Then you got your forward lean tab. It's pretty standard stuff, you know. Flip it down, flip it up, slide it into place wherever you need it to be. It is a little aggressive. And then the toe ramp can also be moved forward or backwards depending where you want it. With the heel strap, it's a 2-piece design, so you've got this exoskeleton that runs through the middle and that's more rigid, and then you've got this foam. And the cool stuff about this is it's kind of like cored out here. You're gonna notice that, and that helps it with how it flexes and bends. It's also a little more asymmetrical, so you've got this like little wing or flange right here. Overall, great strap, contoured well, has a little bit of padding, but most of that's gonna come from your boot. Now with the toe strap, this thing is very minimal. It's very pointy. You have to run this as a toe cap, which is what Flux is known for. And you kind of expect that. When this is locked in though, you don't feel it. I didn't get any weird pressure points. It was just there and secure. With the ratchets on this, Flux uses like a 2-piece design on the inside of this. So you actually have like the main ratchet, then you have the release mechanism right here. And when you want this to release, you have to kind of aggressively push it down. So like if you do it lightly, it's gonna move a little, then you have to go to the second engagement. It takes a little bit more effort than you would think to do it. And these were sticky right outside the box. I knew that. Like the first time I used them, I was like, wow, these are really sticky. They did break in over time, so that will happen, but it's just something to consider. There is a bit of play just with the way that they do their design. So you'll notice that you get a little buckle rattle in there. Do I think they're the best buckles out there? No. Will they work? Yes. There's things that I like and don't like. I mean, they're really easy to get good torque on, but then when you go to release, you've got to use a little more extra pressure than you would think in there. So you might hit it and get it to that first section. You're like, why isn't this releasing? Then you're like, bam, you hit the rest of it. Otherwise, they held me in, did what they needed to do. Hey, you're watching this right now. Give it a thumbs up, you know you need to. And while you're doing that, if you haven't already, subscribed, you know who you are, you should do that. Click that bell, get the notifications. That way you're not missing any of the programming we've got coming out for you. And believe me, we got so much programming for you. This is an aggressively high back. And I mean aggressive. In my size 10 in a large, which is what they recommend that you ride, this high back comes up where the liner sticks up above the shell. You can feel this when you're driving back into it. While it does have a lot more play for a binding of this caliber, you feel it. And I was starting to get calf bite and leg cramps throughout the day with it. Like, I really think that with my size 10 Thraxis, I probably could have actually been in a medium and it would have been fine. The nice thing is, even though this is like a more torsionally soft high back, I mean, you can hear that thing squeak, it's still rigid down the middle, so you get good power distribution out of it. The forward lean adjustment is easy to use, and one other cool thing is like you can actually set the high back more forward if you want, which will change the dynamic of how you sit in the heel cup. I didn't do that, but you can do that if you need to. The overall flex of this binding comes in just past middle of the road, It's not overwhelming, but there is a little bit more power to it. The only thing that I would say that's overwhelming is the high back height. It is a good responsive high back, and that's nice, and that works in conjunction with the straps. Underfoot, you do have a bigger disc, so you have a bigger dead spot. You're gonna get more power out of this binding than play, so that is something to consider with it, and you notice that. But compared to older Fluxes, especially the XF that I've ridden in the past, this just felt more responsive and on a little bit more damp, but we'll get into that in a second here. This is a really unique riding binding. Like, when you look at the foot pad, it's hard on the top, but then there's more foam underfoot, like where the disc is and stuff. So it feels more rigid initially when you're riding it, and you do have that bigger dead spot. Like this, I mean, there's a ton of play. Like, yeah, this is a little softer TPU right there, but by and large, like, it's rigid, but with the straps and the high back, you get play with it, especially laterally. So there's like a duality to how this rides. Like, the performance is there. Toe to heel, you can crank on this and get power. You want to go up on your toe edge, you're on your toe edge. You want to go on your heel edge, you're on your heel edge. You don't have to worry about it. Laterally though, there's more give to it than you would think from a unibody binding with this size chassis. Rider in mind. This is for the all mountain rider that's going to do a little bit of everything and needs one binding to do it all. Like what we're doing over here? Want to support us further? Swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. Flux has come a long way since the last time I've ridden their stuff. I really like this. The high back is immense, and it makes me wonder if a medium would have fit better with my boot, but out of the box, I didn't have to adjust any of the straps. Like, they just fit. I put it in and then I mounted on the board. It was centered. I really didn't have to worry about anything with it. But I just think that their size runs might be a little off, especially with how companies are just trying to downsize their boots, unless your Vans are 32, but I digress. These are really good for what they are. They surprised me. You do have that huge dead spot underfoot. You're gonna notice that. I do wish the buckles were different. Like, I don't like buckle play, and I really didn't like how it takes a little bit more effort to get these to disengage. The nice thing though is the tab at the front. You've got this big spot. You can get your glove underneath that and really pull up on it. It's good. Overall, very impressed with like the direction that Flux is going in. These weren't bad. They grew on me as the day went on. They were more damp than I ever remember Flux being, which is surprising for how rigid that foot pad is. I wasn't expecting that, and the response toe to heel was amazing. Comparable bindings: the Union Atlas, the K2 program, the bent metal transfer. This has been my review of the Flux XF. If you don't feel these are the bindings for you, why don't you go check out one of the reviews for one of the comparable bindings I just mentioned.